Okay, Mark. So, no one is better positioned than you, I would say, at this point to really evaluate the status of the two-wheel recumbent market and industry today. And so, as this becomes your Swanson song, I guess, with the recumbent industry, could you share with us your thoughts on the status of the two-wheel recumbent market these days?
Yeah, so it's no secret that the two-wheel market has been in decline for, I would say, probably since around 2012. And I think the fundamental issue was we know, before Bacchetta came on board, I think, recumbents were mostly viewed as with long wheelbase as for people. It was associated with aging or pain or backaches or whatever. And that was a great market to service that. And it was a pretty robust market. And then Bacchetta really focused on the performance market, which I think, with the exception of Lightning, there wasn't a big focus on that at the time. And then several years later, you had cruise bike come along too. But that market really helped, I think, fuel a boom over the next 10 years from, early 2000s to 2012 or 13 or so, which was great. But for whatever reason, I think the demographics, we noticed everybody it was a bunch of people in their 50s. I'd say 95% of our customers were in their 50s, and they generally loved cycling, but they couldn't continue doing it. But the market behind that, I've discussed this with other manufacturers, is that they're much more, the Generation X and Y and Z are much more aware. It just seems to me about what other people think about or are concerned about that, and maybe there's this stigma of you're injured or something, you have to ride this bike. So I don't know what it is, but it just didn't seem to be as popular with the follow-on generations with that. And so as a result, you saw a decline. I also tend to think that the two-wheel upright diamond frame market got much more competitive. The frames got lighter. I think it more comfortable. There was a lot more innovation going on there. So there was an alternative to do. And you also had those other style bikes, they call them crank forwards, that are like semi-recumbents, that I think they really got popular for a while. And so you had a lot more alternatives to do in the market. Another reason I think is that if you look at what's the basically job to be done of a recumbent, and I think it's to allow people that are enjoy cycling to continue that. And I think if you look at the entire cycling industry, not just the recumbent market itself, that too has been in a recline. If you had asked me 10 years ago, if we'd been sitting here for 3 years without an inner bike, I would say, well, that's what's the trade show? But now I think everybody's kind of agreeing there is going to be no really big traditional trade show like Interbike. So that's a problem also. And I just think that there's been probably a lack of innovation within the market because it's such a small market. From a personal perspective, Bachetta's biggest problem is our used bike market. The used bike market is, I think, pretty thriving. And we got 25,000 bikes out there that, it seems like in fact, I'm sure it's 9 out of every 10 calls or more are for some used bike park or what do I do? So we're supporting an industry where that's our competition is ourselves, yet we're really not getting any revenue from it. So I think all brands are going to, experience that because these bikes are manufactured really, really good. And I personally believe the trike industry is going to start running into that problem too.
Mark, that's super. Let's, if we can, finish up with a little detail that is the Carbon Trike. Folks around here know that you have sold the Carbon Trike business recently as well to the original designers. So could you quickly recap the sale there and maybe give us a little status update on what's going on with the Carbon Trike as you know it?
Yeah, that, Lars and Archer really wanted that. Ideally, we went out and we started talking about this, probably selling the company around February last year. And so February this year, and we decided to go ahead and contact other manufacturers and specifically focused on trike manufacturers. So we spoke to pretty much all the usual suspects and really didn't find anybody that wanted to take both the bike and the trike. We did have an offer on the trike, but then Lars contacted me and said, "Hey, they would get part of the proceeds out of this anyway," and he really wanted to continue the business and move to Florida and use this with an E2 visa to be able to accomplish that. So that's a special visa where if you own a business, you can become a U.S. citizen, which was his long-term goal anyway. So he purchased the business with the intent of, certainly by May, he thought he'd be able to come over and set the business up. So obviously that's not the case. In fact, today we still don't know when President Biden and the administration are going to allow Europeans to come over here to visit. So Lars is a little depressed right now. But we've moved all the inventory. We've got a new location. I set it up for him. It's one of my good friends that owns a business in the cycling industry as well. So all the inventory is there. It's sitting there ready for him. Right now, he's hoping that as of beginning of July, he'll be able to buy a plane ticket and come over here for the first 3 months and get everything set up. But for right now, the business is kind of in limbo, not on what's going to happen, but in terms of the timing of it. And he intends to fully get that going again as soon as he can get over here.
Okay, so suspended in terms of sales directly. Yes. If there are carbon trikes in a dealer now, of course, that's one way you could buy if there's current stock. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think there's much.
Okay.
So we pretty much, I don't think, if any, right now. It's very hard to get. But there's about 50 trikes right now ready to go.
Very good. Well, thanks for that update.